In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to create a very fun and simple game in Scratch where you have to balance a ball on a paddle. It only takes about 100 blocks of code and anyone can make it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a new sprite. And we're going to name the sprite paddle. And then I'm just going to really quickly draw the sprite out right here. Okay, so I'm done drawing out the sprite, and you can't really see it right now since the sprite is like the paddle is white and everything else is white. So I'm just gonna change the backdrop color real quickly. Okay, so that's gonna be my backdrop color. It looks really dark, but it's not that dark. It's just a really dark purple. And this is my paddle sprite. I basically made a really thick white line and added an outline of another thick white line, except I had added an opacity of 41, which you can only do with the Scratch extension. So download those if you want to add cool effects like that. Okay, so now let's get to the coding. So drag out a when green flag clicked, we're gonna show the sprite, go to well, we're gonna go to X 0 and Y negative, and negative 103 is actually good. So yeah, that's a perfect position for that. And now we're gonna create two new variables. The first variable is gonna be X velocity for the sprite only. And I can copy that and then paste it and change it to Y velocity for the sprite only. You can unclick those variables because we don't want to show them, and you can also delete the my variable because we don't need that. Now we drag out a forever loop, and we're inside the forever loop. We're gonna put a new block. It's a new custom block. The block is gonna be called paddle physics, and we're gonna add an input, and we're gonna name this input move velocity, and then we're gonna add another input and name this one friction. Okay, click OK and just drag that block over here. Then you can put this inside here. And another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drag a change x by and a change y by. We're gonna change x by the x velocity and change y by the y velocity. And for paddle physics, for the move velocity, I'm gonna put in 1.5, and for the friction, I'm gonna put in 0.9. Okay, now we have to code the paddle physics, so I'm just gonna code that really quickly, and I'm gonna show you guys the code after and explain it. Okay, so that is all the code that we need in the paddle physics custom block. And so basically what I did here is first I set the x velocity to the x velocity multiplied by the friction. So now when we move the paddle, we have a really smooth moving motion, and when we stop pressing the key, it kind of glides towards the end. That's how you add friction. And then if I press key D or the right arrow, so you can use both WASD and the arrow keys, it will change the x velocity by the move velocity, which is 1.5. And if I press key A or the left arrow to move left, it's going to change the x velocity by the move velocity multiplied by -1. So it goes the opposite way, because to go left we need to move in a negative way. And right now we set it's the move velocity to positive, so that's why we have to multiply it by -1. And basically this part that I've added right here, if the x position is greater than 230, which is right here, then it will just set the x velocity to -5, and the same thing for the other side. So our paddle, like our player, just can't just go off to the edge, so we can just go, like it stops us from going there instead of letting us actually go, because that would just break the game. Okay, so I'm gonna add one last thing in the paddle sprite that's gonna make like a cool like a direction animation. So when we move left, it'll tilt left, and when we move right, it'll tilt right. That's very easy to do. To do that, just drag out set rotation style to left right, actually not left right, to all around, set rotation style to all around, and we're gonna point in the direction of our x velocity. And just duplicate that and put in the x velocity. divided by 1.6, and we're gonna add it with 90, so it faces like horizontal. Now if we click the green flag and if I full screen in, if I go left, it's gonna tilt left, and if I go right, it's gonna tilt right. So that just polishes the game and makes it look a bit better. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a new sprite. I'm gonna name this the ball, and this is gonna be the ball that we have to balance on the paddle. So I'm just gonna quickly draw the sprite for the ball. Okay, so I'm done with the art for the ball, and I just made it look very similar to the paddle art. It has that same effect of that little white thing around it. So right now the ball doesn't do anything because we have to now actually code the physics for the ball to actually move. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right here, got one green flag clicked, we're gonna show the sprite, and we're gonna go to 0 0, so we're positioned at the center of the screen as shown right there. And then we're gonna create some variables for this sprite, and it's gonna be the exact same for the previous sprite. So the first one's gonna be called x velocity, and the next one, and sorry, the second one's gonna be called y velocity, and they're both for this sprite only. So now we're gonna set both x velocity and the y velocity to 0. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, we're setting both of them to 0, and we're gonna grab a forever loop, and inside that we're gonna change. Where is it? Okay, we're gonna change y by and change x by the x and y velocity. You can also unclick the. Okay, so one thing I forgot to do is in the sprite, we gotta set the x velocity and the y velocity to 0 at the beginning of the code when the flag is clicked. So I just did that real quick. It just makes sure our player doesn't start off where it left before the flag was clicked. So that just fixes some bugs. Okay, so now we're gonna have to create a new custom block, and we're gonna name it ball physics, and we're gonna add an input of gravity, and then just click OK and drag that over here, and drag the ball physics custom block in there and set that to -1. So now I'm just gonna code the ball physics custom block, and I'm gonna put all the code that you need inside of there. Then I'll explain to you guys what the code does. Okay, so I'm done coding the ball physics custom block, and so the first thing I did was I was changing the y velocity by gravity, which is -1, so the ball is always falling down. And then if the ball touches the paddle, it's gonna jump up by 20 in the y velocity, and if the direction of the paddle is greater than 90, which means it's like leaning more to this side, as you can see it's greater than 90 right there, then it's gonna go move in the positive direction, which is right, because right there 10 is positive. But if it is less than 90, then we're gonna set the x velocity to -10, so it moves left. And that is all in an if else statement right here, instead of a big if statement, or if touching the paddle then. Okay, and underneath that I just took the code that we had right here and just dragged it and put it in there, because that basically allows our ball to stay within the screen, so it just doesn't, if you hit it too far right or too far left, it just doesn't go over there and never come back. It's gonna, if it hits the edges now, it's gonna bounce back. So that's basically what it does. Okay, so now we're gonna test out if all our code works, and so far it is working pretty well, and it's a quite fun game. You can like try to balance this and get like the highest score you can get, but the thing is we haven't added a score yet. That's the next thing we're gonna add. We're gonna create a variable called score. It's gonna be for all sprites, and when the flag is clicked, we can just set the score to 0. And inside of the ball, if we're touching the paddle sprite, then we can change score by 1 and go into the control and drag a wait until, go into operators, drag a not, and then touching paddle sprite. Wait, it's gonna change the score by 1, and it's gonna wait until it's not touching the paddle to change the score again, because we don't want our score to just keep increasing infinitely while we're touching the paddle. So let's go test that. Our score is right here, and we touch it, and then the score increases by 1, but then the ball actually stops moving, so we have to fix that. Okay, so I found out how to fix the glitch where you just land on the paddle and it just gets stuck there, the ball gets stuck there. Basically, the problem was that we had this and inside the ball physics sprite and sorry, ball physics custom block, and it's making its way until the paddle, until we're not touching the paddle. So that's basically just stopping all these scripts since it's inside the same custom block. So what we had to do is we had to drag out a one green flag click and a forever loop and put this inside there. So now everything works just fine. So if you click the green flag, now everything's working and there's no glitches or anything. Okay, so one thing I did notice is when I click the green flag and if I just don't move, our ball just stays there and it keeps falling down on the paddle in the exact same spot. So we're getting like infinite score and we basically can't lose unless we move this, because then the ball starts moving in different directions. But a way to fix that is at the beginning, instead of setting the x velocity and y velocity for the ball to 0, you can set the y velocity to 10, so it kind of bounces up a bit. And for the x velocity, you can pick a random from -5, +5, so we can either go left or right. So now if you click the green flag, it's a bit more challenging because now you can just stay there and just get infinite score. Another thing we can do is just change the score readout to a large readout so it looks a bit better, and just put it exactly in the corner right there like that. Okay, so now we're almost done. All we have to do is add another sprite, and I'm going to name this sprite lava. So when the ball falls into the lava, the game stops, which means you lose. So I'm just going to draw out this lava sprite real quick. Okay, so I'm done drawing the lava sprite. I basically just made this red and added this cool like shining effect to it and I put it down there. So now it kind of looks like the lava is glowing while we're playing the game. So now let's code the lava. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag out a one green flag click. We're gonna show the sprite and we're gonna go to 0, 0, and we're gonna go to the front layer. And then we're gonna drag out a forever loop. Inside that, we're gonna put a glide, 2 glides actually. And then the first one, we're gonna glide to x0 and y15, and the other one, we're gonna glide to x0 and y0. And we're actually gonna change the time to 0.5, so it goes a bit faster. And now, as you can see, our lava is coming up and down, but I don't think I made the sprite a bit like bigger on the bottom, so I'm just gonna increase it there, and I might drag it down a bit because it is a bit too close up there. But now the last thing we have to add is when the ball touches the lava, we want the ball we just want the game to like stop entirely. So inside this forever loop right here in the ball sprite, we can do if touching the lava sprite, if touching a lava, then just stop all. It's just gonna stop the whole game. So if we click the green flag and let the ball touch the lava, the game's just gonna stop. Okay, so now with all the coding done in all our 3 sprites, we can now look at our final product and play the game.